Welcome back. Shifting focus to the auto sales now for the month of December, where total retail sales were down 12.5% on a month-on-month basis. The commercial vehicles slipped by 12%. And in fact, as well, now, in fact, the Federation of Automobile Dealers Association expects for sentiments for January as well to be cautiously optimistic. We are now being joined by Mr. CS Vigneshwar, who is the president of the FADA, who is joining in now. Mr. Vigneshwar, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining in. You still remain cautiously optimistic for the month of January as well. If you could break this down for us, what is driving the caution and what's driving the optimism for you?
I think what's driving the caution is what's been happening the last year. It's always been a stop-go. Every month, there's been some kind of a challenge, but the resilience of the market with the OEMs and, of course, the dealers have been working together to meet these challenges. The optimism stems from the fact that it's been lower than expected December. So we also feel that quite a few spillover of sales has actually happened because of postponement of decisions by customers. There's also a lot of optimism happening because the first quarter we feel is going to be good. This is due to the auto show, where quite a few new launches are going to be done and also product refreshes are going to happen. Few customers have also postponed their buying decision in general because they want a 2025 vehicle.
If you could give us a sense of what the inventory levels of the dealers are at right now and how do they compare with this time of the year in general? What does that tell you? Because there has been a fair amount of discrepancy between what the companies report when it comes to wholesales and the retail Vahan data as well. So we just wanted to understand that gap.
We simply go by the fact we compare SIAM data along with the Vahan figures. There are quite a few vehicles which are still lying at the dealership lots. It's much better than what it was 4 months ago because we were at nearly 90 days of stock. Right now, we predict we are at about 55 days. The stocks have been coming down. I think the OEMs also have taken cognizance of this and they've been reducing the dispatches. And also we've been aided by good retails in the last 4 months. But however, the buildup of stock had happened nearly 5 months before October. There was a slow buildup because of various reasons. But right now, I think it's only makes business sense that we start reducing stock. We as FADA and most of the industry OEMs have also recognized.
We've managed to. All right. I think we got a scrambled line, sir. So we'll just try and repatch that once again. You said that the inventory at the dealers right now is at 55 days as against 90 days earlier, right? When the cycle's extremely good, does it have the potential to go lower, or do you think this is good enough for dealers to actually start ordering more? We just wanted to understand that.
I think we have a potential to go lower, probably in the next quarter, 2 or 3 months, which is very important for us to start reducing this stock. 21 days is what we need to get to. And the 21 days is calculated regarding keeping in mind factors as customer's choice, as well as factors like the gross margins which are given to us as dealers from OEMs. So keeping all this in mind, there is a good chance for this reduction to continue and take it below a month, which would be a first step to get to 21 days.
Mr. Vigneshwar, what about the commercial vehicles space? Because that is the one that has seen some bit of sluggishness over the last few months, and you're expecting this to recover in the first quarter of this year, of the calendar year, considering fourth quarter of a financial year is generally stronger for these commercial vehicle for the commercial vehicle segment as a whole. What do you expect, or what could be the likely factors that would drive this recovery for the commercial vehicles?
The commercial vehicle segment has had a very, very small growth over the last calendar year. For example, it is about 0.7%. This was due to the fact that a prolonged election followed by various floods and droughts in different parts of the country. Sometimes these floods and droughts happen across a few months in the same state. So this doesn't augur well for CVs. And also the fact that the government spending in infrastructure has not yet, the tap hasn't opened as yet. We expect this cannot prolong forever. And this quarter, there would be enough government spending in terms of infra, which would also have a trickle-down effect on the PV and two-wheeler sales later on. So we also been seeing a lot of large deals have been not inked, but a lot of large deals in the commercial vehicle segment have been going on at dealerships. And this gives us a very positive sign that the commercial vehicle segment would do well next quarter.
Right. And what about two-wheelers? There has been this influx of EVs at the two-wheeler level, even though, it does not impact the IC engines of four-wheelers as much. There is still that discrepancy there, but it's a lot more in two-wheelers. How is that likely to pan out going forward? Do we see a tremendous shift out there? Where does that mix stand at?
See, even when you take two-wheelers into consideration, I think it's only about 6% overall. So when you take 6%, I think there's a lot of room for it to grow. Apart from EVs, we also have CNG, which has become a choice for the customer. And I believe a lot of customers would come into the CNG bandwagon too. So alternative fuels are important, apart from the petrol, which is usually there. And they would play a very big role in terms of reducing our dependence on oil imports. So yes, there are certain other factors also to be taken to see whether holistically in the life cycle, whether these products make sense environmentally, but they certainly will go on to reduce the fuel bills. The EVs are quite nascent in our country. It's yet to take off, but more and more of the scooter segment, we are seeing them shift over to the EV segment. We're also seeing some new entrants into the EV motorcycle segment with enough range to take care of the customer requirements. The EV is going to be a strong growth story in the future in India.
That was my next question actually, Mr. Vigneshwar, because the Auto Expo that's lined up, there are plenty of EV launches that are in the pipeline. Now, is electric vehicles actually a significant part of the dealer inventory currently? Or do you expect that to take a significant shift in 2025 as majority of the inventory now turns into electric vehicles as more variants get launched?
The EV industry for passenger vehicles, if you're asking, is about 3.5%. So it's still very, very small. It will not make a large impact on the inventory. It will be probably similar to what the market shares are in the lots of the parking lots of dealerships. But what's important to note is that more and more companies want to participate in the EV story. It used to be a couple of companies 2 years ago. Now it's a handful. And I'm sure this year and the year after that, every company who is serious about the Indian industry would have some kind of an EV product available. But EV may not be the only alternative fuel available. You also have CNG, you also have hybrids. So all these things would also play an important role in the alternative fuel story of India. And we already had a couple of launches towards the end of last year, but yes, they've had great responses. And these deliveries are going to start happening only in the first quarter of this year. So we yet to see that. There's a lot of excitement. There are a lot of products coming in, especially because of the auto show. And I think the EV story is a very strong story and a strong bet for the future.
All right. While it may be the strong story and strong bet for future, we were just wondering whether it could eat into the incremental sales of some of our listed companies as well. Though a couple of the two-wheelers have gone ahead and made inroads into that and beating the earlier leader as well, case in point Bajaj. But we'll leave that discussion for another day. Thank you so much for joining in and giving us a very near-term outlook for the auto sales. Currently, the inventory at 55. There is still scope for it to go to 21 days as against 90. So we're getting better, but still some way to go. Thank you so much for joining in. Wish you a happy 2025 for the industry itself. May the auto sector do well. Take a short break, come back on the other side. We get you more on the markets. The mid-cap index now sitting with a gain of almost 1%.